welcome to the Holy Hour Podcast, the bi-weekly all-cure podcast, and I am Gavin, tonight joined by Antonio and special guest. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Scott Kruger. Hello there.
Hey, what's up, nerds? How's it going, guys?
Pretty
What up?
good, man.
Scott Solo's in the house.
Got you back on, yeah, and of course...
So about that mall show. I mean,
Wrong
wow.
podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's tomorrow's discussion. Okay.
I tried really hard to figure out how to work that into this, but I'm not sure.
I was finishing last week's episode today, so I was like, "Oh, Scott's in my ears, and he'll be in my ears later."
There you go.
My apologies.
Yes. So you all know Scott from the show here, but of course you're all diehard Sarlacc Digest fans by now, surely. So you must
All
know
of
of his podcast out there. So great to have you back on every time. So yeah, and we figured
Thank you.
this was no schlepping episode that I could just mumble some bullshit through, by myself. I needed some high caliber people here to help me out, and we are just keeping the celebrations going. As you know, all through May and April even, we get our feeds just blasted every day with the fucking anniversary of something. So,
Oh my god! It's like every band I've loved since I was a kid. 40th anniversary of this, 40th.
Yeah.
Okay, just keep hammering home the fact that I'm old.
yeah, the 30th are bad enough, but these 40 ones are really like, whew, oh my god. And then closing in on 50 too. This is, you start looking ahead, I'm like, oh god, what is this? But,
that was like one of the bands that just played at Amityville Music Hall, like I was saying Thursday. They were celebrating 3 of their records. All this month, we're hitting a 10-year, a 15-year, and a 25-year anniversary. So they did songs from the 10 and 15 first. Then they took a 15-minute intermission and came back and did their whole album, A Full Collapse. And then in my head, I was going, wow, this came out 25 years ago? I was like, damn. That seemed like I was like,
yeah, I mean, it's weird. I feel like it's like, I don't know if you guys are the same, but it's everything like in life, when you think back on all relationships or things that have come and gone and just parts of your life. And while on one hand, it does just seem like yesterday and you go 40 years, oh my God. But then when I really think about it, especially like Cure stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it was a long fucking time ago, and geez, yeah, it was like a whole different person back then. So, I mean, it is crazy, that whole contrast of it. And it gets a bit exhausting when you do see the bands doing the 5-year, 10-year, 12-year anniversary and the 15 and the whatever. And I'm sentimental as hell anyway, so I usually eat this kind of nostalgia thing up, but especially with Cure, by the end of May, I'm just like, all right, who gives a shit? Let's do some new stuff, and it'll be great, because the tour will start off, and we can finally jump back into the future in there. But this episode, we're taking it up 10 more years from last week's Wild Mood Swings 30, and this is the Big Boy 40 anniversary of 2026. So what possibly could have happened in 1986, you may wonder? Well, of course, it's Standing on a Beach.
Didn't Wham have an album?
Probably.
Are we celebrating Wham's Make It Big, or was that? No, that's 84. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a billion others.
Well, also the Mets won the World Series. That's the last time they won the World Series.
Yeah.
Let's add a little sports talk in there.
Okay. I guess, just on the surface, any other big 86 memories?
It was 86.
My oldest brother graduated high school that year, so that was always 10 years apart, so I always kind of keep that in mind for him. That was his graduation year. So, yeah.
Let's see. May of 1986, I was 11 years old. So
okay.
I don't know what was happening in the world.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that the only reason I really remember that stuff is because watching the 86 World Series with my grandfather is like so ingrained in my mind, so it was like one of those things that it was just kind of like, I'm like, I can pull so many memories from that time, because it was like,
is that like Daryl Strawberry's big year and shit? Was that when that was all?
Yeah. I mean, Doc, Daryl, Keith Hernandez.
I had a few of those baseball cards. That's about the extent of my sport.
You're like, then I put him in the spokes of my bike.
Yeah, I was like, fuck off, what are these things? But he was a big deal. I remember everyone pretending to be Dale Strawberry that summer or whatever, that fall, whenever it was. But yeah, 40 years of standing on a beach, and it's a weird one because usually compilations and stuff we wouldn't even really bother focusing on too much, I don't know if we've ever done a Galore anniversary or anything, but it's just kind of like this is a big one, I think, just because it is such a huge like entry point, and even people that came in later, a lot of times this was a huge chunk of
this
all
was their
those
introduction to the early stuff.
So, I mean, it was the perfect way, of course we'll get into all the is it the perfect intro or not, kind of thing, but it's just like a great way to capture, because they were so active in those early years, like when you look at, that's why I think Galore is always weird, because it's such a big, almost the same amount of time, but they had those 4-year gaps in between everything, and so it's like just these, and like more singles, so like every Cure album had like 4 singles, so it's only like 4 albums worth or something on it, but this one's like one song, one album every year since 1979, 13 tracks, and it's just like, oh man, this is just really weird and a cool glimpse at what they had done up until that point. So yeah, just a quick background. It was released May 15th in the US and May 23rd in the UK, and the first major compilation for the band, marking a near-decade evolution from post-punk kids to alternative icons by the end of this compilation, and the real start of it. So that's kind of one of the fun things as old seasoned Cure fans. When you look at this now, it's like crazy how good it is and what a huge piece of artifact it is for the Cure, but like fucking Just Like Heaven isn't even on it yet, or hasn't even been written yet.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's just like,
yeah, it's crazy
thinking how they really could have just tapped out at this point and they'd be a pretty legendary like college rock band, and it was like, nah, man, they haven't even fucking, they're just getting warmed up. So
yeah, I mean, if this was, if the band ended after this and this was their greatest hits album, you'd still be like, yeah, this is still a great record. And they also, I think they definitely missed a huge opportunity to not put this out on Record Store Day as a picture.
Oh,
vinyl,
dude,
like they've been doing. I'm like, definitely. Why? It like just happened like 2 weeks ago. So, like you literally missed. So, and instead you gave us the greatest hits. I wonder if that was like
something got jammed in the presses or something, and they're just like, it's just so weird that they would like.
Again, I mean, I'll pick it up when I find it used somewhere, and I will. I guarantee it. Yeah, because I already have the greatest hits on vinyl, and I'm like, why?
Well, it was just released 6 years ago, wasn't it? I mean, there's no sense in putting it out again. And I mean, they had the opportunity. They could have done a 4 LP compilation with the B-sides on it.
180 gram vinyl.
Any level of that would have been cooler or more useful even, it doesn't even have to feel like a big anniversary thing or something. It's like, and I kind of did a quick search on Discogs, as we always do for these Cure albums and stuff, and most of like Standing on the Beach, just standard old records, going for like $75 now at least, and I did see one just the other weekend that was about 25, so that was all right. But
yeah, the last one I got that was an original press is this one, because I have more than one. And this one I got for $34.99, but there's a little bit of marker on the on the jack on it, but the vinyl was mint beyond mint. And my other one, like the vinyl's a little dirty, but the jacket's okay, and Cure is the only band that, like, when I find the vinyl, I don't care if I have it or not, I pick it up because I feel like I'm rescuing it. And then it's like,
I'm the same.
I'll give it to my son if he doesn't have that one yet, now that he's building a collection and he loves the Cure. Or, like I'll hit you guys up and be like, do you have this? Do you need this? Or just some other friends, or even just, sometimes we'll do like little vinyl selling or swappings at like my friend's bar. And so sometimes I'll bring that, and it's like, if the dude's cool, I'll be willing to sell it to him. But if he's a douche, it's staying with me.
I used to do that for friends when they were like $10 for a used one and stuff. Now that it's like $40 fucking. I'm like, yeah, I'll just let that kid that really wants it buy that one, I think. But yeah,
I have a standing. We've got a record store here. It's the only record store in the in the desert I live in, and I have a standing order with them that anytime a Cure album comes in, I get first crack at it. So it's singles. Yeah, it's. So they were able to get me Standing on a Beach vinyl. So I'm very happy about that. But are we also celebrating the release of Top Gun soundtrack, which came out on the same day?
Yeah.
Let's take a ride into the danger zone, boys.
Come on.
Damn, yeah.
Yikes.
Buckle up, Maverick. Let's go.
I feel the need.
The poor kid back in '86 that was like, I only have enough money for one. I'm going with Top Gun.
What's it gonna be?
Like this,
yeah.
Wrong choice, Junior.
So yeah, I mean, just as far as the reissue, I had that for the notes too. It would have been great to just get those B-sides, because that's a huge part of the different formats of this was, even if it isn't all of them, because now that we have, but I mean, a whole Join the Dots vinyl would be like a fortune at this point too, and so I mean, it'd almost be easier to just. That'd be like eight
records, probably.
So, I mean, this would be an easy way to do it. You could have even just done it a whole separate record, the way they do the acoustic ones for the greatest hits is a whole separate record, So, I mean, that would have been a great idea. Like a double right there. And then, like just having a widely accessible version of this on like a new pressing and stuff would be great for kids, all those kids that.
I said, how about you put it on streaming? It's not
that's
available
another point.
on Spotify.
You're just plowing through
like you have to go through.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
It's all right. No, it's a good point. It drives me crazy.
So I went to YouTube today, like the other day, to like listen to it while I was driving, because someone like had put it all on YouTube, because like some of my files of my CDs that got uploaded, like got a little screwy because iTunes was always like bipolar, so I was like, I mainly, put this on in the house, like on vinyl or on CD. So that I was like, I quickly wanted to do it. I was like, let me just open up YouTube. But I was like, you got to go to somebody's like, their mix that they put. Yeah, but it doesn't have Killing an Arab on it.
I think that's it. I think that's the fucking reason right there, is because if you've noticed, the other one that's missing is Boys Don't Cry. The American version isn't on there because that would have Killing an Arab on it. So it's just like, what the fuck? Because Galore's on there. So it's obviously not like a prejudice towards compilations thing or something, So I mean, I think
not at all. Yeah. Join the Dots is on there.
And if that's the Cure's decision where they're just like, I'd rather not fuck with it, just leave it off, then fine too, I guess. At least that's their decision. Yeah. But if it's some dumbass like Spotify, Apple executive being like, oh, this is dangerous territory, this scandalous song that for some reason, no matter how many fucking stickers they put on these things, people can't realize that it is not a racist song or what, So I mean, it's like, what the hell? It's so hard to understand at this point. But so that drives me nuts because all the compilations and stuff too. I always just want to throw Killing an Arab on there, and you have to take the live version from Anniversary. I think it is.
But I still don't get them. Why is the live version on there?
Yeah, because the other one they do have. Changed it to Killing a Stranger or whatever it is.
Killing another.
Yeah.
And,
but that's like ridiculous. So, but then there is he says Killing an Arab on the actual Anniversary one, I think. So it's like, all right, what are we doing?
I uploaded it. I put it in my CD player and I uploaded it, so I've got it on there.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. But
I have to redo that because, like I said, my iTunes files got all screwy and they don't all go together and they're not in order. And I'm like, why? Why?
The struggles to be a completist Cure fan out there. But who knows? Maybe by the end of the year there will be some kind of release. That's what we said for Wild Mood Swings too, because we're due for the deluxe of that. But they do seem to love to want to put these out like on the birthdays or announce them at least on the birthdays. And we did get the Boys Don't Cry thing, which is cool, but like that's a weird like consolation prize for this, even when it popped up, I was all like, all right, but a single, that's kind of weird. I just liked it for the CD single, but did you guys order that?
No, that's another one that I'm going to kind of wait till I can find used or whatever, because just the shipping is what was murdering me.
I got the CD and that arrived but we're still waiting on the 7-inch, even though I see a
Oh,
ton
you
of people.
really?
Yeah, so like I got that for Henson, and it still hasn't showed up. So hopefully it's not lost somewhere. And then I was a little underwhelmed. I don't know if I've publicly sighed a little bit about that, but the CD is it's like, I get it just being like a very conservative cardboard sleeve, but I mean it's like the most skimpy of skimpy sleeves where it doesn't even have like a spine with anything. So when you put it in there, it's just like totally like a piece of paper. You can't even, it doesn't say anything on it. I'm kind of like, that's like the shit they used to put like the free CD and magazines in and stuff, you know? It's like, come on, I can put a little Boys Don't Cry on the side or something.
No, I did get the CD single. I was happy with it. Just I went on a hunt for that thing, man, on the vinyl of it years ago. I looked and I looked. I could never find it. And I found it in a little record store in Temecula. And I'm like, is this it? Is this? I made the guy play it just to make sure it wasn't screwed up. And I'm like, I got it. So I bought that.
The 7-inch or
I
the
didn't
12-inch?
12-inch. Yeah.
12-inch. Yeah.
12-inch.
I have a copy of that too. Actually, that was another one that I got. I found it a second time in the wild, and it was in better condition than mine. So I bought it and then sold the other one because I'll do that too. I'm like, I think this one's better than mine.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a head on the door floating around at one of the local shops here, and mine looks like a truck drove over it. It still sounds fine and everything, but I'm kind of always like, I should just buy a nicer one and then give this one to somebody or something. But I'm like, yeah, I'll buy something else. But yeah, so you got the CD too then, and
Got the CD. Yeah. I didn't bother ordering the vinyl.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I don't know what the hang up is. So hopefully it'll show up eventually, but yeah, I ordered it from Rhino, even thinking it would get there faster than like the actual Cure thing, right? Because they gave you the different options this time. I was like, fuck, never can win. But so yeah, lots of cool, weird stuff with that. I guess the whole reason for it is kind of fun to go over why they even put this out, but just the refresher for Cure fans out there, they basically come to the end of their contract with Fiction through Polydor, though, where, you know, they were going to basically put out a greatest hits, whether Robert wanted to or not. It was one of those things where he didn't even have any say. So as far as the books say, he said, I embraced it as opposed to fighting it. That way I'd have control over the packaging and the song selection too. I think he talked them into it being more of a, let's just do the collection of singles. So that way it's not a greatest hits, because he had this big hang up that if it's your greatest hits, that means you're done and you're not going to have any other cool shit. Yeah. Which totally makes sense. You know, it's like, yeah, I get that. So it was huge in the sense that like that time too, even just being a little too young, but I could still tell all these college rock bands from that area, everybody was putting them out then. It's cool when you look at all the ones that were put out like in like a 3-year kind of radius, where it was like Substance, New Order came out in 87, Louder Than Bombs was in 87, The Smiths, Joy Division, Substance was 88, Depeche Mode put out a singles collection 81 through 85, Echo and the Bunnymen, Song to Learn to Sing, 85 as well. REM Eponymous was 88 too. So it was kind of like all these bands were doing the, if you're cool and you knew it already, good, but a lot of people didn't, you know, because it was fucking hard to hear these bands if you didn't have like the cool older sibling or older friend, or if you weren't actually in college listening to the college rock stations. I guess maybe MTV late night you would be able to catch some of the videos, but I mean, you wouldn't know about these listening to pop radio or anything. So
no, yeah, for sure.
It was usually I got to thank, you know, movie soundtracks
for
finding a lot of these bands. You know, it's the Pretty in Pink soundtrack introduced me to OMD and New Order and Echo and the Bunnymen, and then I swear to God, every single, because I had the cassette tape of every single one of those that you just mentioned. Right. It was just
it was like the perfect like catch you up on all these, you know, and a lot of them were like just singles. Like the Louder Than Bombs one was just all these weird singles that if you weren't in England or, you know, like a real college rock enthusiast or something, there's no way you would know all those, you know. So you had to get these compilations kind of probably geared towards Americans more than anything, because they are British bands, most of them. You know,
see, like I was lucky because growing up, like in Long Island, New York, like LIR was the first radio station to play The Cure really in the US. Like they are credited as having such a huge, influence on being like, and then radio stations were like, oh, well, they're playing it. We should play it. Like
Yeah.
I've seen it, like when I was watching the documentary on WLIR, there was a whole like 15 minutes on The Cure.
Yeah.
And like how important it was to them. And I was like, so in my head, I was thinking everybody was hearing this on the radio,
Right.
and then I was like, oh, wow, no, really only the tri-state area in, the Northeast was really hearing it. So it's kind of crazy, and I was like, damn.
Yeah. And it was,
because I remember that radio was always on in my in the garage on my grandfather's like little like radio. And I'd hear the songs from afar and I was like,
what's that?
What's that?
Yeah.
We had we have K-Rock and 91X, but not in the desert I live in. It doesn't go over the mountain. We got a huge mountain range over here, and I can't get anything below the mountains. So San Diego, LA, nah.
Damn.
So I got country music and top 40 music. I never heard any of it.
Yeah, Scott, did you kind of pick up on bands? You had mentioned the Pretty in Pink soundtrack, then just from the ones that are kind of like New Order adjacent and stuff. Is that how these things start connecting the dots? I had a lot of those kind of.
Pretty much. I mean, for me, it was more on that. It was more OMD and Echo and the Bunnymen.
Okay,
those were the two that really stood out in my head. Because you had Bring on the Dancing Horses, and of course, If You Leave, and then you've got Songs to Learn and Sing. Oh, okay, cool. And then you've got the best of OMD. All right, cool. And then that led to NXS, and then okay, well, these people. If you see them in a magazine, oh, they're next to this band. I'll check out this band. Yeah. So
It's pretty wild. Yeah. I was
take it right up to the Kmart and buy whatever I could,
Right. Yeah. And there's little things like that. Like the big one for me, I've mentioned before, was the skate magazines. And like you would just see, because like I lucked out with the older sibling angle where they had like New Order, Smiths, OMD and stuff. And I would just steal their tapes, for whatever reason they got those cool bands. And I was like, what is this shit? This isn't on the pop radio, because we would just constantly have radios on the house, but it was always my mom just playing the Casey Kasem countdown and stuff. And I'd have my little like, whatever, that's cool. But I'm like, this is cooler though. Like, why aren't they playing this?
There came a time when Casey Kasem started playing some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
You'd catch a song on occasion and be okay, this is kind of cool. But I was the oldest, so I had to find my own way without MTV and without radio. So it was a hunt, man.
Way. Oh, sorry.
That's my mom's music right there.
Yeah, those are the ones where.
Movie soundtracks were like huge for that. I mean, Pretty in Pink soundtrack is still epic to this day.
So, as far as first memories of standing on a beach specific, then where does this fit into the discovery / when did you get this story of your origins, guys?
This was my first Cure CD I ever bought.
Okay, so first,
because it's like I had been hearing them, and then it was like, all right, I'm diving in, I'm spending my money, I'm grabbing something here, let's go. And then I was like, all right, well, this has got like a little bit of everything, and it's got that song, and again, it was really just kind of like learning. And you didn't know any better. Like you couldn't go and Google it. You couldn't go like look it up on YouTube. It was like, I went into Tower Records. I went over to C, and it was like, all right. And I'm like,
so you had heard stuff off of Wish, and then
I had heard
this
stuff
first, though?
But I did get this first, actually, because I had a cassette of Wish that somebody had made me.
Okay.
So that's it. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll get this then. So let me go back and check out the other stuff. You know what I mean? And like, sense. So that was what I spent the money on the CD on, per se, because I had a copy of Wish. And whatever songs I could get off the radio at the time, if it was being played, but MTV is what really kind of introduced me to The Cure. Like I think it was seeing them also and hearing it that was like, okay, no, fuck, this is cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Because like you'd hear it in the background, but then once you saw it, it made it so much more real, and you were like, oh, let's go.
Nice.
Yeah, my first was the Disintegration, right? So that was my first introduction to them, was Disintegration, and it was seeing them perform, seeing the video for Fascination Street. And I've talked about it on here
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
set me
yeah.
off on. And from there, I went and picked up Standing on a Beach because I wanted to know more about him.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
Even before Disintegration,
probably-
or after you had secured?
no, after Disintegration.
Okay,
I got
yeah.
Disintegration, and then I went back, but I got the cassette. So
That's what I got here
picked up
too.
the
Is my
cassette.
reference.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the cassette, I want to say it was at Musicland before it was even Sam Goody. It was Musicland.
Yeah.
And
the mall.
took it home and listened to it, and that sent me spiraling down this rabbit hole of where are these songs from? Where can I get these
Yeah.
songs? You know, because
It was like the closest thing to
Yeah.
like a discography. That's where I
Right.
used that.
Well, I was
as
gonna say
like a
that's what's
reference.
crazy too, is like you couldn't go Google like
Right.
or hit the Wikipedia page to find out which
Yeah.
songs were from
Right.
which album, and like
But the album or the cassette tape, whenever you opened it, had all the artwork
Had
on
the-
it. And I'm like,
yes.
okay, wait a minute. So this is from here. So I started tracking down the other cassette tapes, and it drove me fucking crazy because I couldn't find this is before I knew any better. I couldn't find the album that had Charlotte Sometimes on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is the album? Is it on Carnage Visors? So I went and found Faith Carnage Visors. No, that's just a really long song. So before I realized that it wasn't an album track, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but man, I'm like, it's not on any of this. Where's the rest of that?
That's funny.
Well, that's the thing too, and it's like that's become one of my favorite Cure songs. Charlotte Sometimes. My dog's name is Charlotte. Like, and I remember hearing it for the first time on this, and just
Yeah.
being like, I'm like, this is so like awkwardly beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
like in the strangest way,
Yeah.
So it's such an impactful.
That's funny. So
record
yeah, it was
for me.
like it's really designed that way, and it's crazy how many people have this story of like it was like the real gateway drug and such, And for me, it was pretty much straight up that where I had a friend that was playing them around. Like I'd heard Hanging Garden, thought it was funny. The lyrics were like funny. It was like he's falling into the wall. What is he talking about? And then we even watched in Orange because you could rent it at the thing. And I just kind of was like hanging out in his basement while it was on. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool actually. But then I think we had heard this, like all the skaters were putting it on. And we liked like Love Cats and stuff. And enough of them were kind of hitting where I was like, this is pretty cool. But then I remember me and my brother were like, Killing an Arab's kick ass, not in like a, whatever way, of course, but like we just thought it was like a badass rock song. So we had decided that it's worth buying for that one song, which luckily is the first one, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't even want to fully commit, I remember. So it was one of those brother deals where we went in and we went halves on it. So I was like, I don't know if this is gonna suck or not, so let's get it, And it was just classic case of where I hijacked the tape pretty much from there. My poor brother never got to hear it, and like, and it was like literally every song would just. I loved that one. Then I loved the next one. Then I'm like rewinding it, listening to those two. Then I'm listening to the next one. And then of course by the like in between days at the end, I'm like, oh my God, this is clearly the best song on this thing. And then I realized I've just listened to the whole album like 15 times in a row. And it was really one of those like, they got me, I'm trapped.
So how long did it take you to dive into the B-sides? Because I remember personally flipping it over and listening to the first couple songs. I'm like, I don't get this. But so I never really gave the B-sides a good listen until a couple years later. And then by that time I had listened to this so much that it was garbled in places where I had to rewind it with my pencil and all that to get it straightened out.
Yeah,
it is. So my few hours after this, it wasn't until Join the Dots came out that I heard a nice, crisp, clean version of A Few Hours After This that didn't go during part of it.
Totally.
Did you dive into the B-sides though?
I did. I remember them not catching me like the early ones very much. But it was definitely after I exhausted the first half. But then I remember really falling in love with A Few Hours After This and Exploding Boy, like right off the bat almost. And I was like, holy shit, there's a whole second world. And my, like, cause I was like 11, you know, at the time. I was like, I don't even think I fully realized it was like a greatest hits or whatever the equivalent of like a compilation, and I don't even think I knew the concept of a B-side of like what the fuck,
I didn't,
you know. So I think I thought it was just a whole nother batch of songs that weren't as good maybe, and then there was a few in the middle. I was like, holy shit, these are just as good. And then I just started listening to those because it was like a whole treasure map in that tape, just like you're saying, when you pulled out the thing. And then you even seeing the single covers, I'm like, well, those aren't the album covers. What the fuck are those images? And I was all confused by that. But you did have like the years or something on there. So it was like a bit of a discography where I could be like, and when I started going back buying the actual albums, I was doing it based on which ones I liked a lot. Like I would see like, oh yeah, fucking Love Cats is great. I got to get Japanese Whispers. So I got that. And that's why like Pornography, I think might have been one of the last ones I got, or no, I think I got that from my friend too, but it was just like that and Faith were just go like, those are cool, but they're kind of weird, you know, like the poppier stuff. But so I was gradually just getting all the pieces together.
Well, they had this, you know, this came out with all the B-sides on the back, and then you had the Cure Live with the Curiosities on the back side of it, where, you know, all cats are gray, or no, the Funeral Party, all the lyrics are out of place on it. And you just started diving into the second side of these things. And man, it was like like you said, opening up a new world, right?
Yeah. And as you know, as much as we talked about the sequencing with Wild Mood Swings or just regular albums, it's actually crazy how well just in chronological order the sequencing works for this. You know, like a lot of bands kind of struggle with that because they want to just it to be the, you know, defining artifact of their releases or whatever, or even just greatest hits are always a little weird when they jump from their first album back to another. You know, it's always kind of a mysterious formula, but like you would think, especially for as diverse as their sounds got that fast, they would sound fucking weird. But I remember not even being like, it all seemed like a normal evolution to me, even as a kid. Like, yeah, of course now they're getting into some synth stuff, and of course now they'll just be this like great band by the end of it. But you know, I mean, it's really weird though how good they flow together. And
yeah, I think track to track, they all go together so well. And then especially on the vinyl, you flip it over to the B-side, you know, and it's like starts, you know, like with Let's Go to Bed, and it's like almost like you're in another, like you know, like you went through the portal, now you're in the new other universe, and it just makes sense. Like it just works. Like they all go together like so well, and it's like it's almost like a buildup. And I think, I mean, I would even credit it as saying like it's one of the things that I think make it stand out so much is how well, you know, because usually if you're going to get a singles collection or a greatest hits, sometimes there is a lot of like, it feels like you shook up, you know, you shook a bunch of letters and threw them out on the table. But I'm like, no, this just works.
And
like,
I guess it just really showcases how badass their singles are, you know, like it's one of those things because especially those early albums are so concept kind of heavy, or they all are so theme heavy in a sense that like, you know, even like Hanging Garden or something, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's probably not the best song on Pornography or whatever when you really micro analyze it. But when you put them all like that, you just, you know, most bands, when they do put out a singles collection, they just got a few shitty singles, you know, like I bought like a Thompson Twins best of around that time and really loved the Thompson Twins, and they still have great, you know, handful of songs, but like when you're listening to like all their singles, you know, there's some fucking dogs in there. You're just like, oh god, what is this?
But I think what really makes it work too is if you look, it's like every three songs are a perfect grouping. Killing an Arab, Boys Don't Cry, Jumping Someone Else's Train are a perfect trio.
Yeah.
Then A Forest, Primary, and Charlotte sometimes perfect trio. Hanging Garden and Let's Go to Bed and The Walk actually work as a like growing trio. Now you're fully immersed in that, and then you get hit with Love Cats, Caterpillar in between days, and then it's like, let's just close it out with Close to Me because it's just fucking close to me. You know what I mean? Like it's the like you have like these blocks of 3 songs that are perfect for each other, so the transition into the other blocks just feel okay because the next song backs up the song before it.
Never thought about it like that, but that's pretty cool. You're absolutely right.
When I had it here in the track listing, I'm going, oh wow, it's in these like little clumps of 3 that just make so much sense together.
Right, yeah. We get over analyzing their whole timeline so much too. It is cool to see that was a huge shift when those happened in the band and stuff. Like when you really look at it, they had like even reinvented themselves more or less like 4 times just on this compilation. They go from the post-punk sound into like the dark era, into the fucking pop synth stuff, and then the start of the golden era. So I mean, it really is like 4 reinventings of the Cure.
Yeah, and it ends with this like amazing radio hit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Which kind of combines all of it.
It's like, you're welcome.
Yeah. it's like a little goofy, but still cool as shit, but then still has like some dark lyrics, and he's singing like way better than the beginning. And yeah, it's really fucking cool. So I love that. I mean, I guess as far as the formats too, since we're talking a lot about the tape, because it's a rare one where the tape actually, I felt like the cassette buyers won as far as getting the coolest version of this, and that usually doesn't really happen. I guess the record is pretty just flawless when you listen to it that way too, like you said, flipping it, and so it's Let's Go to Bed's the first one on the second side. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So it kind of starts that whole era.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Like it works really, really well.
And then here's something I'd love your opinions on, that in all the years of doing this, I still don't really have a concrete answer or theory on. So the CD comes out, they change it to stereo, get to see, just because it's slightly different, but that kind of matched the VHS more, and that's a whole different thing. But they have the single, not single bonus songs in there, so you get like 1015, Other Voices, and A Night Like This. So it's weird because what qualified them for that almost seems like the fact that they just made videos for those. But like, why did they even make videos for those? Because they didn't put them out as singles. Even Play for Today isn't officially a single. It's
that is one of those things where I think when I looked it up, it did say something about because they were videos.
Yeah, but I wonder why they even thought to make a video for like Other Voices if you weren't gonna put it out. Maybe they didn't know, and they just kind of filmed 2 of them on the same day, because most of them are like A Night Like This. You could tell they did it the same time as like in between days, and like they just probably shot them all on the same day in a different concept. So maybe they hadn't even like figured out exactly which one was going to be the single yet, or I don't know. It's a weird kind of thing to spend money on, especially in the early days if you weren't going to use it. So.
Well, and it makes me wonder, was it released? No, it was never released as a single anywhere else, right? No other country had Other Voices released as a video.
If anything, they had a few weird ones, like The Blood was a weird, like only in Spain or some shit. But I mean, so that did actually have a video, but they left that out altogether. So it was weird that they chose these, so I don't get like almost by A Night Like This, it makes sense because the Quad Puss thing was kind of a single. It was more just a little EP thing, and it kind of focused on A Night Like This. So that one makes sense. But the weird ones are like Other Voices and Play for Today, I guess, are the main 2, because even 1015 was kind of a double A-side if you get real nerdy with it, I think, to Kill Your Nerves or something like. But I don't know. But I'm glad they didn't, because a few more
never
extra
turn
songs.
it away.
And I guess if we can't crack that code still, then I guess just the VHS in particular is worth a huge mention, because it stems off of this. And like you were saying, seeing the Cure first as a kid, because I didn't really. So that was weird that I fell so in love with them and without really even knowing what they looked like and how cool they looked and stuff. And I mean, I'd seen In Orange, but that was kind of a weird introduction because he had his short hair and they just looked like an 80s band. You know, they didn't really have the full look going. But yeah, as soon as I got that tape, and I was diehard by that point where I think I'd backtracked on all the tapes by that point, and just watching all those, that like totally solidified the obsessive, you know, like just watching those videos in a row. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
I think the very first song I'd ever heard by them was Just Like Heaven.
Yeah.
And I really love that song. But then a friend of mine, because I hung out with all the theater nerds, and you know, theater nerds, we love Cure.
Yeah.
But I heard
required.
one of them playing Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And it was, you know, he did a little vocal wildness in those songs, and I was I don't know about this. I don't know about these guys. So I kind of just pushed them off, didn't really think about the Cure. But then when Disintegration hit, that's whenever my love started. And I went back but getting caught up, I'm like, where does Kiss Me stand in all of this, right?
Yeah.
Because it's such a departure from everything else with the variety of music and the vocal stylings and I think they introduced the horn section in Close to Me, but then you get more horns and it's just,
I mean, it also, what's crazy to me is that this also did come out on Betamax. I mean, obviously we know VHS, Laserdisc, video CD in China only, and VHD in Japan. Like, so I think those songs that did have videos really got pushed because they were pushing the visual media so much alongside it. You know, they were probably really trying to be like cutting edge at the time, you know. I would love to find that laser disc.
Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing to play it on,
Right.
but I would still fucking love to own it.
I've got the Star Wars trilogy on Laserdisc just because.
Do you really?
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta have them, you know.
Get those digital copies of the original, man. Come on.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty wild. I love the whole idea. The artwork was different. That was cool. It was a variation of the guy. Yeah, get the shirt on. That's an awesome shirt. I love that one. I wish I had gotten that one. So yeah, it was like a painting of Mr. Button staring at the sea with the fish behind it there, and it's you know, popped up on a few t-shirts too, variation ones, and yeah, it's just a really cool layout. Oh, and the snippets, that was like fucking gold too as a kid. Having those little in-between home movie things, like that was like, oh man, this is the best part. You know, I got where I was just watching it just for those after I'd massacred the videos over and over, you know. So it was like just a little glimpse into their weird world, you know?
Dude, I could buy it right now for $45. Buy it now.
The Laserdisc?
The Laserdisc.
Are we both on eBay right now looking at this?
I always feel bad. Antonio just ends up like shopping every time we do these podcasts. It's just like, shit, I just spent $300 every time I talk to.
That's so funny.
Awesome. But yeah, so I mean, that tape was definitely worth its weight in gold. And you know,
but you're right. Those little snippets in between, though. I mean, even just kicking off with they're like playing in a gazebo. And you hear them just jamming. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, whole footage. And half of it didn't match the sound because it was just playing the B-sides over it. You know, I'm like, what is this? And I love that it just showed like the goofier side of them too, like with the little outtakes for "Let's Go to Bed" and stuff, you know. And
well, now I'm also about to buy In Orange on Laserdisc.
Yeah, get them all, man. Oh no. Yeah, I guess speaking of artwork, then our man John Button, he is maybe the reason all of us somehow, like, you know, whether we saw Disintegration videos or heard Wish, and then you backtracked and got locked into the eyes of Mr. Button when you pulled the CD up. Very mysterious in a sense of choice, I guess. Like, he's the old man on the front cover, and you know, it is just arguably their coolest fucking album cover. I think it is just such a cool portrait, you know. I don't know why it works so good. As much as I try to overanalyze it in my head, it doesn't really symbolize anything that would be like like we've been around so long that this old man, the creases and
Yeah.
cracks in his face represent. I mean, if it was like their whole career or something, you could go down that route maybe, but I don't know. But it's just a fucking, even just the way, the beach looks behind him and stuff. And I guess like the most notable thing is the tape and record, you get his whole head, right? But then on the CD, it's like zoomed in real tight on his face.
Yeah, the CD,
right?
is zoomed in on
The
face,
record, record, you get his whole head.
Yeah, the record, you get the whole thing. And then the beach even wraps around on the other side.
Yeah.
Like it was a very long photo, it was, and
So yeah, so the lore behind it was just that I guess they just needed a video for Killing an Arab because they never officially filmed one. So Tim Pope was in Rye, I guess, East Sussex. It's out there, and they wanted to film I don't know why they went out there to film this video. I guess just to do something on the beach, and they came across this old fisherman, Mr. John Button, and they thought he would be great. So they filmed the video that we've all seen, the first video, because I remember even being like, oh shit, that's the old guy from the album cover when you watch the video.
And he's oddly breathing and licking his lips at times.
Yeah,
And
he's just kind of walking around. He's kind of fucking around with a net at some point. But I guess, he was already a retired fisherman by that point. In the little harbor town of Rye on the channel, and I tried to dig in more to get a little bit more. They're in some of the books there if you really dig around, but he was a World War II vet. He was serving in Egypt actually, and got captured. So he was a POW with the Nazis at some point. And when he was finally released, they threw a big dance party in his honor in Rye.
Nice.
So they had a nice dance for him. And then later in 1966, he got to meet the Queen. She came to the town for whatever kind of photo op thing, and she hung out with the locals, and he gave her some fish apparently too. So, and there's a photo that I don't know if I'm not good at the sharing screens thing, but I think I got it here. Let me see if I can pull this off. Can you see?
yeah.
Yeah, so we got Mr. Button here. He's a little younger in 66 with the Queen. He's not handing her any fish here, but maybe that's what's in this thing that she's holding.
Nice.
And, so he got to meet the Queen. Oh yeah, he had a couple good quotes too. He said when they told him he was going to be the cover star of the record, he said, "If I can help these youngsters break through, after all, why not?" So he was on board with helping these kids make it. And then he said he would go buy it. He also reportedly said that he would buy a record player and listen to one of the band's songs out of curiosity, just to see, he says. So yeah, I was real curious of like, when did he pass away? Because obviously he's probably not going to be around anymore. But I couldn't find anything. Then I pulled up the old faithful findagrave.com or whatever and punched in Rye and all these things. And yet, sure enough, somebody popped up in the small fishing town of Rye with John Button on his grave. And I was like, oh man, well, it's sad, but let's find out, and he's buried with his wife there. But the weird part is he died in June of 86, according to this tombstone.
Really?
Whether it's him or not. So yeah, it's really weird because it's faint and it doesn't really say anything other than like he's with his lovely wife, passed away in June 86. So that would have been like a month after the fucking record came out. So that's kind of sad and weird. And then I was like, all right, well, maybe this isn't him. It could just be John Button isn't really that much, that rare of a name maybe, or he could be a different Button in the town, who knows? I just wasn't ready to let him go that fast, So I kept looking at it, and I thought if he had served, they probably would have said something about him being a vet or something that it didn't on his tombstone there. So I kept digging a little more, and I found an old Chain of Flowers message board thing. And it was some dude just like IJC 2222 or whatever, but he said he was John Button's grandson. And he said, yeah, my grandfather was named John Button. He also met the Queen in Rye in 1966. So he caught on to that real fast. And he said, I have a photo of him presenting the Queen some fish. When he died, I noticed that the Cure had sent a wreath of flowers to my granddad. So that kind of led me to think, too, cool. It was definitely recent enough where the Cure still were in touch, enough to... Or that was just a really sweet gesture that the Cure still cared enough to send a nice wreath to him. But then the extra weird part was, I know the man died soon after that video was shot, but I don't recall when exactly. I think it was 87 or 88. So if he's saying that it was soon, then maybe it was 86, like right afterwards. Yeah. So this is what I'll leave you guys with. On John Button, anyway. On his tombstone, it says he passed away at the age of, guess how old he was?
Oh, God.
I don't know if I want to know.
Wait, okay, so hang on. If he was you said he was a World War II vet.
Mm-hmm.
So
it would have been about...
Oh, God. Was
he 20 years after...
55.
It's almost 65. So
65.
65,
okay.
which,
Man.
Is just right around where, I mean, he looks so much older than 65.
Okay. I know. I'm like,
doesn't he look older than 65 though?
He does. Yeah.
But it's
really
like,
does, yeah.
I mean, he was a POW. He's a fisherman, he's out there.
Yeah,
we saw that video. That environment is not very good on the skin and such, but different times back then, everybody looked older, I guess, too. But 65, though, this is the funny part. 2 years younger than Robert Smith, but John Button. The old man on the cover was 2 years younger than Robert Smith. But so that's pretty wild.
I thought you were gonna say, in his 50s. I was like, okay, come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad it seems more reasonable for you guys. I was just like, 65? No way. He has to be at least 75 or something. But yeah, I guess. And that was the other thing I was chuckling at while I was studying every little crack on his face, wondering how old he really was and if this was really him. I'm like, yeah, it's funny. With every year older I get now, he doesn't look that old when I look at the tape. I remember as a kid looking at this and looking like he was like fucking 90 years old or something. The old man. That's what everybody always says. The one with the old man on it, the old ass man on it. And I'm like looking at him now. He's like, he doesn't look that old. I mean, he looks old.
He's just a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, he's got many years left in him. So. Whew. So yeah, that's all I got on John Button. That was definitely a day where I didn't want to tell Casey what I was researching so hard over here. Where she's like, "What are you looking at?" Like nothing.
Don't worry about it.
Don't mind me.
Like I'm only stalking a dead man.
Yeah, I was like, "There's gotta be more information."
What a very Cure thing to do: stalk a dead man.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Yeah,
stalking a dead man.
Yeah.
But so yeah, he helped him out. I guess in the end, he got his wish to help the youngsters out and break through. So commercial success. This was huge, not only for winning over new fans, but it also just broke the Cure big time. In America in particular. Just some of the quick stats. The album has been certified 2 times platinum in the U.S., gold in the UK, double gold in France, triple platinum in Australia. And it was there, peaking at number 4 on the UK charts back in 86 and number 48 in America, which was great for an alternative band on the Billboard charts at that point. It really just kind of laid the tracks there for what was to come, like all these kind of alternative acts were really just kind of breaking through. All the ones that we listed, all these greatest hits, were definitely making a name for themselves at this point. REM and stuff would start to blow up around this time, and all the other ones in their right ways. And of course, this would totally just set up Kiss Me perfectly for being the mainstream kind of breakthrough pop and gloom and cover everything and keep the golden era rolling straight into disintegration for sure. I don't know. What do you think, I guess, as we start to wind down that? Is it like the best gateway drug entry point? What is the best for like if you had a Cure fan youngster and you're like, do you think this is?
I mean, it's for me. It's either this for a younger audience. It's either this one or it's Head on the Door.
Yeah,
It's
that's
also got the
always-
pop with some of the gloom, and it's what they say in Sing Street. It's the happy sad.
Yeah,
the happy
it
sad
really
of the
is
Cure.
perfect
you know?
happy sad for sure.
I mean, this was what really broke me into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like I said, it
Yeah,
seems
This
to
started
work.
my obsession.
Yeah,
Disintegration
this turned me
started
from
my
this turned me
fandom.
from I like this band to being a legitimate fan.
Yeah.
Because what this generation for them, it's like you would have to go to like Spotify or Apple Music or whatever and go to the Cure and go to This Is the Cure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what the younger generation is probably doing now, which is kind of sad
Yeah,
because
I
those
know,
This
these
Is
things get lost. in
also
that.
have they do get lost in that.
Because
but-
it's weird in contrast when you think of like how good this works, but my only hesitation of giving it to like a teenager that's maybe heard a few sprinkled singles, like it doesn't have like just like Heaven on it or
Right.
like something from
Yeah.
Disintegration. So I'm kind of like, damn, but it flows so good. But it's weird that Galore doesn't flow good. It's like Galore's something about it. I think like I was saying earlier, where it's too many singles, too much gap in between them. And then, it just kind of like, it has all the Kiss Me ones. It just feels like a singles collection more than this does for some reason. I think just because it doesn't have as much variety or something. I don't know. It's like this one just really is like a great sampler, but it's just unfortunate that it just doesn't have just like Heaven at least on it at the end. There's like just to get like this like mega where you could. But I mean, I think it's enough where it's like, well, then you have those huge gems in the next bracket, so.
Right. Just don't get him the greatest hits because that
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that up, actually, because that should be what I was thinking of, like what you give them, but that just plows through it all so fast that it's like it has like no flow to it.
There's no time to marinate either.
Yeah.
That's the good thing. That's the great thing about Standing on a Beach and Galore both. If you look at them side by side, they're both chronological, right?
Yeah.
And you get that marination over the years of this, how they started, where they ended up, where they went wrong.
Yeah.
In a couple of cases with which one was it? Just Say Yes. Ugh.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't that on here?
Whoever, why the fuck?
Well, yeah, because you look at the greatest hits.
Yeah, why the fuck?
Like you
would
look
put
at
that?
greatest hit. Yeah, Cut Here is great. But you look at greatest hits. It starts with Boys Don't Cry, A Forest, and Let's Go to Bed. And the three of those don't
No, those
work
are
well
huge
together.
jumps. It's like you just lost all of the dark era stuff. And it's just like, what the fuck? And even Let's Go to Bed's like the only thing that kind of Caterpillar next? What's after that?
The Walk,
Okay, so it does have two.
which
at
makes
least,
sense.
but-
And then Love Cats. Then
Yeah.
in between days, Close to Me. So then it stays those two. So it's almost like, it's bizarre.
I would like
There's no
to
pictures of you on here, man. It's null and void.
I know. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Null and void.
you can't call this the
still-
greatest hits and not have
That
pictures.
still
of you
blows
on
my
it.
mind.
Yeah.
And it is like on the British one, right? I think it was something like that. But for some reason, they cut it off of ours so you could put just a yes on it. Even like
But
wrong
never enough
number.
is on
It's like, wrong.
But yeah, like
It's like, what? But
wrong number.
I would like to, like, another reason why I wish it was on streaming, it would be cool to make a playlist that connects Standing on a Beach and Galore, because I bet Galore would flow a lot better after all of this, because like Wild Mood Swings wouldn't seem as weird on that if you kind of got some taste of Top and Kiss Me and all that, so
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't, but at the same time,
The ultimate gift for a youngster, Standing on a Beach and Galore. Just have
Yeah,
at it,
maybe
listen
just-
to it all
Yeah.
in order, and just enjoy.
Yeah, I think that if you're not giving handing them like Disintegration,
yeah.
which is obviously what I'm gonna tell anyone to go to first,
Right.
or Head on the Door.
And on the door,
like
I said, I think that's probably the best way is like what you guys in particular did, where you latched on to liking one album or at least a few songs from some, like with Disintegration and Wish, and then
Yeah.
Backtrack is the early sampler platter for the early stuff, and then you kind of from
I
there.
mean, that's always the
you're gonna
test,
be
man.
hooked.
When you discover a band and you're discovering them at whatever single is on now, if you go backwards and you don't like what you hear, although you know what, I'm kind of contradicting myself. Not contradicting myself, but like, so for instance, I love the band Against Me.
Uh-huh.
Love them. But the funny part is that I do love the second half of their career so much more, where everyone's like, oh, it's blasphemy. You have to like the original stuff where they were just like anarchist punk kids with like acoustic guitars banging on
Yeah.
like paint pails. You know what I mean? Like it was very stripped down, almost like folk punk. And I was like, it was okay. But the later stuff, I'm like, I don't give a shit what you say. I love the later stuff. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like I went backwards, didn't love that stuff. I appreciate some of it,
Yeah.
but it is such a test when you can hear a radio single today, and if you go backwards and you can like find like stuff that you're like mind blown by,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
that's
and
such
it's
a
just cool
huge-
to see stuff that does capture the progression well, like you're saying, like that's, I have a lot of bit like replacements, or usually like the punkier ones for me. Like I don't love like the messy early punk stuff, but once I got into their later poppy stuff, it made me like the sloppy early stuff more,
Yeah.
So
Right.
I like
Yeah,
like the
of course.
Lemonheads and stuff. I like their early sloppy punk shit, but like once you like the later stuff, yeahs are a band that are funny like that because everyone. I mean, I love that first record, but like I like all their later stuff when she kind of harnessed it a bit better in the songwriting. I felt like got better, and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
kind of, and then they kind of started to drop off because people didn't like them as much because they started getting too normal sounding, I guess, or something. But
like dancey too. They got very dancey.
yeah,
Did they really? I stopped after that first album.
The Yeah.
I never followed the Yeah.
Yeah, they got some cool later ones. I like it, but I'd recommend them.
Oh yeah.
The one with the egg.
See what you did there.
Yeah.
No, it's. But you're right. I mean, there's certain bands of this era that as you go back, you just get. It's like Depeche Mode, right? I fell in love with them with music for the masses, and I started going backwards. It's like, oh man, Black Celebration, yeah, this is great, some great reward. But then you get to a point where you're speaking spell, and you're like, ew, what's this? What?
What's going on?
Wait, yeah, this is a little too bubblegum pop for me.
Yeah.
So there's some that you can go back a little too far on, I
Right.
think. But
Even like the earliest Echo and the Bunnymen stuff I love, but it's way sloppier than those later ones that I love more, I think I'd still go with like the later, the self-titled one and stuff, or
yeah,
because it sounds more Cure, like
Ocean Rain, man. I was listening to Ocean Rain today, and that's just, God, that's such a great
that
album.
one's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's cool to categorize those and see them, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. As you unfortunately popped my bubble when you said how none of the kids care about any of these because you just pull up those Apple Essential playlists or whatever. It's like, it doesn't really matter anymore what the hell compilation came out.
So I work at a university theater, right? We know this. I work at a university theater, and every single one of those kids walk around almost daily wearing Cure shirts.
Wow.
They call me Goth Dad, and they come visit my office, and they're like, and I end up wearing a shirt that day that matches one of them. I'm like, okay, so we're twins today. This is fun, but it's good to know that it still carries on, and there's something about theater kids. They just love the Cure.
Yeah,
but it's still carrying forward, so I like that.
That's cool. Yeah, I think it's always when we get into the, like, what is it, the initial attraction in particular, and the adolescence thing in particular, when kids are going through their moodiest of moodies, and it's like, It is cool because that shit never changes, you know, and even as you get an adult and you carry your moody baggage with you or whatever, it's like those never change. Like if everything changes from generation to generation, it's like, I don't know, man. People are always going to feel like outsiders and they're always going to like shit that's catchy but isn't like acceptable by the mainstream, you know, and just all those little boxes that these classic bands that we love click, you know, and the Cure in particular just really nail it.
Showing how important this is, you know, and they are, it's like, you know, you have the obvious big ones, right? Like, you know, just again, you know, in an interview, Trent Reznor said, you know, the Cure are one of the most unique, brilliant, heartbreakingly excellent rock bands that the world has ever been lucky enough to enjoy, right? So it's like, you know, you had them influencing someone like Trent Reznor, who to me is probably one of the most innovative musicians in the last 30 years, you know, like, but then again, like you have one of the biggest bands for young kids right now in the hardcore scene out of Boston called Haywire that just recently covered Boys Don't Cry. And it's like, and people go completely ape shit, you know, and so, you know, you're talking about, you know, a song that came out in 1979, you know, influencing a bunch of like young mid-20s tatted up Boston skinhead hardcore kids.
Yeah.
You know, like it shouldn't make any sense, but it actually makes all the sense in the world, you know, because there's a reason why 40 something years later, we're still having these conversations bi-weekly, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like so insane, you know, like, and then I just saw, you know, you know, someone just sent me, a clip on Facebook, I think, of, the Rolling Stones talking about Robert Smith.
Yeah, he's gonna be on their
like
new album.
doing backing vocals in the new album because he just ran into him in the studio and he's like, "Oh my God, you're Robert Smith! I can't believe I've never met you before." And he was like, "You're coming in and doing backing vocals."
That's
like,
awesome. Yeah, I was
like,
totally
I was
blown
like,
away by that.
you know,
because
like,
hadn't really had too much like just lore crossover with Stones.
no, and how
the
hell have these two guys like lived on the same rainy freaking place for this long, played music festivals and been so important to like music and pop culture, and those two have never been in the same room together?
I bet they were recording like 2 doors down from Olivia Rodrigo in the studio. He just spent the whole day like singing on everybody that was recording that day.
He was like, "Who's next? Who's next?"
It's like, sure, I'll sing.
I'll take it
too.
You know what? This just guaranteed I'm actually going to listen to a Rolling Stones song that's new.
Yeah, I know,
right? Exactly. Yeah, seriously.
Hanson was like, "They're still making albums." I was like, "Yeah, man."
He's like, they can walk without canes and walkers.
Didn't say that.
I was like, used to make fun of them more, but I'm like, don't laugh. We'll be saying the same shit about the Cure in like 20 more years. People will be like,
let's talk about how old this guy is again.
Pretty awesome. So yeah, that was the other big news, I guess. And then Austin City Limits was kind of big news today when I saw they announced that and the Cure weren't playing it, which wasn't a surprise, but at the same time kind of was the last, that and Riot Fest, I think, were the last 2 chances that they would pop over here for a quickie festival this summer, which, well, I'm like, oh, part of me is definitely relieved because I'm like, festival. I would just feel really horrible if I didn't go to it, and then I'd be really like, ugh, if I did have to go to it. So we'll let the Europeans have their fun this summer, I guess, and
whatever.
Hopefully something. But yeah, that'll be the next episode. We're gonna do some tour predictions. So let's see what happens. It's coming right up around the corner now. So we're gonna jump back into reality in real time as we leave all the anniversaries behind. So
for at least a month.
Yeah, at least for a month. But yeah, I guess we'll wrap up there. I feel like we've paid our tributes. There's no real like negative thing, even as much as we love to see both sides of it. There's nothing you can say about standing on a beach really that would be, other than it ends. That's the worst thing about it. It's like, oh man, it doesn't have just like the songs they haven't written yet on it, you know. So really no complaints. I
love it. I was listening to it. I don't listen to it often because I usually just pick an album and go for it. So knowing that we were going to talk about this today, I listened to it for the last couple of days in a row, and it's like falling back in love with it again, right?
Yeah.
And you know exactly what's coming.
Oh well, it scratches all the itches. Like you start with the early stuff, you get the dark stuff, you end on the pop note, and like your day goes on, and you're like, all right, I'm ready to take on the day now. It just
it is one of the few ones for as billion listens I've given everything else. This one still has like that when one single ends, I start to hear the next one before it starts, where it's still kind of burned in your head. Whether it be from the videos or, sometimes I even hear the clip of the B-side that was over the home movie clip, like coming right at the end of like Charlotte. Sometimes you hear the, I'm like, oh yeah. So, I mean, I think it's just that early burning it into your head thing or something, but you definitely start to hear it before it even starts. That's kind of sweet. And
it's not a nostalgia trip, man. In some ways it is because it hits all those feels, but it's just good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a great compilation. So
yeah, and it really doesn't like date itself, shit that sounds kind of 80s is fine, but it's and then it's like cool 80s or whatever, it doesn't really stand out like a lot of people's singles collections. You'll be like, oof, definitely 1983 when this is stuff like that. It's like, so yeah, great flow. So awesome, man. Well, thanks for hashing it out with us, and always a pleasure having you back on, Scott. And
thanks for the invite, man. This is always fun. Yeah. I always get to talk Star Wars, but whenever I mention The Cure, they always go, yeah, okay.
They're like, yeah, Scott. Okay.
Yeah, we know.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we will sign off, and we'll catch you guys. Go put on Staying on a Beach, see how it flows for you guys, and if it brings back lots of wonderful memories, you could thank us later. And we'll gear up for some present day tour talk soon. But until then, I guess we'll just sign off and say, talk hard.
Later.
Keep it nerdy.
Woo-hoo.
Yes, thank you indeed to Scott for joining us. Always a blast catching up with Scott and having him on the show. Be sure to check out his podcast, The Sarlacc Digest. That's an all Star Wars podcast, perfect for any level Star Wars fan, by the way. They do a live stream every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube, and you can also catch it on their Facebook page. And if you're more into catching the replays, well, then you are in luck as well, because you have over 350 episodes to backtrack with, and you can listen to those anytime, anywhere you want, anywhere you listen to your podcast. And so they also have a Monday night show called the Sarlacc Toy Chest, where they go over all kinds of Star Wars collectibles and such. So you can check that out on Mondays as well. Also, they have a Patreon, so they call theirs the Shadow Council, which is extra rad, and you can help support their wonderful show by joining their Patreon, much like ours over here at the Holy Hour. We also have a Patreon we would love you to be a part of. There has been an update to our Patreon as well. I record Holy Half Hour episodes over there. Those are little bonus episodes once a month I throw out. It's called Holy Half Hours, and any of the ones that are over a year and a half old at this point, I put them up for free. So I don't even think you have to be a member anymore. You could just go over there and listen to them, and they're just outdated, but they're there. And if you like what you hear, you should join on up and catch the up-to-date Holy Half Hours that come out once a month, and lots of bonus other stuff depending on the tiers that you sign up for. So go check out what we have to offer over there at Patreon. We would love to have you on board. And while you're at it, join the Sarlacc Digest. Chaz's Patreon as well. And as far as our team, let's shout out our wonderful Patreon crew. We got Craig, Jeff Hilton, Amber, Allison, Jeff Cortland Jones, Donna, Sue, John Forrester, Dion, Amicio, Matt Ford, Letty, John Roberts, Colin, Tony, Ben, Danny, Coulter, Tom Johnson, Francisco, Arno, Chip, Nicholas, Shirley, Mara, Caroline, Brian, Sean, Jennifer, Craig Hogan, Pete Roberts, Nicole, John Richter, and Kate over at CureThreads.com, where she has tons of original Cure-inspired designs on a wide range of products waiting for you to come check them out and purchase. And you can also follow her Cure Arts collab page on Instagram, where she provides a home base for amazing Cure artwork created by bona fide Cure fans like you. And David, of course, runs the Obsessive Geek. That's a shop on Etsy, great for other Cure-related products, and you can find 3D printed recreations of Cure album covers over there even. Boys Don't Cry keychains, Fascination Street street signs, the display behind your Funko Pops. All of it is very high quality and affordable, so visit the Obsessive Geek on Etsy. Dana is a freelance animation, illustration, and motion graphics designer and is currently welcoming new projects and commissions. So go check out her work at graphics.tv. That's graphics with an X.tv, and drop her a line if you would like to collaborate on your future project. Tanya wants to spread awareness of 988lifeline.org. That's the suicide and crisis hotline with over 200 crisis call centers located all over the U.S., available 24/7 and offering free and confidential support for people in distress with numerous prevention and crisis resources. So if anyone you know is in need of help, please don't hesitate to reach out or share 988lifeline.org. Lisa recommends that you visit Dickens. That just happens to be the coolest venue up in Calgary, Canada. So check out dickensyyc.com to view all upcoming events. And of course, there's Chaz's other podcast, James Dobson's Bastard Kids, where each week he and Chrissy take a deep dive into the evangelical church. New episodes are dropping like Pentecostal snake handlers every week. Huh? So that'll wrap up this 40th birthday celebration. As advised earlier, go put on this flawless compilation, pour yourself something special, and enjoy its wonderful 40-year run of awesomeness. Next episode, we will be gearing up to hit the road. 2026 festival tour is about to begin. We will have thoughts and predictions. So be sure to subscribe, follow us at Instagram and on Facebook and on YouTube and all that good stuff. And more importantly, just come on back in a couple weeks and catch some more Cure talk. Thanks again, Scott and Antonio, and you guys for listening. We'll catch you soon. Talk hard.